What's going on? What's going on? Another day. Another day in quarantine. Another DylanLasagna live. Just gonna get started shortly. Check on a couple things here. This is a nice tune. Something very chill, but alright. I have another podcast on here because I want to address something real quick, I've been trying to stray away from the whole COVID situation because it's always a bad thing. It's the whole coronavirus thing is overtaking the news and all of this stuff. But the big escape for me hasn't always been YouTube. For the better part of almost 10 years, that's been my big escape from reality. That and video games, of course. But I've been following this situation that I'm gonna get into later in the show that's kind of catching my eye with whether or not it's falls under copyright, fair use, all that stuff. It's not in my avenue, but how these people are covering it, it's very interesting, very detailed, very informative. Kind of shapes the way, kind of shapes how my content is. It's kind of shapes okay, good, it's muted, so that's good. It kind of shapes how I'm doing with my content moving forward. So we're gonna get into that in just a bit. We're also gonna get into some main topics like 2 WWE events getting canceled. We also had a little bit of breaking news regarding the XFL and some comments Ronda Rousey made about a possible return to the WWE, and a lot of rumor killers about Rhea Ripley and Goldberg. So a lot of news on this Flash News Friday, I like to call it. Yeah, a lot of Flash News Friday, pretty much. So, I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering from WrestleMania week. Yeah, it's been a week since WrestleMania. And I honestly gotta tell you, again, WrestleMania was pretty solid, considering the circumstances. But I gotta tell you, after watching a little bit of NXT and a little bit of Dynamite this week, I'm honestly got to tell you that these empty arena shows, I don't know if I'm really feeling it at this point. I really appreciate, I really appreciate that WWE and All Elite Wrestling are giving us shows, but at the same time, it's how much longer are they going to be able to do this? WWE's and both WWE and AEW are in Florida. I think AEW was in Georgia when they did their recent Dynamite tapings, but it's just how much longer can they do these tapings, because both of those states are in have stay-at-home orders. So I'm curious as to whether or not WWE is going to take a break, whether AEW is going to take a break. But to start off the show today, we got a little bit of a report here from our good buddy. It's not Dave Meltzer. It's actually PW Insider. So it says here via Wrestling Inc. that besides NXT, Raw, and SmackDown being taped, the plan was to begin taping another lengthy set of tapings at the Performance Center in Orlando, which apparently began earlier today, and these tapings would run until late next week. If all works out as planned, the tapings should take WWE through Money in the Bank. We'll get into Money in the Bank shortly. So, we don't know how WWE is doing this because Florida's in a shelter in place. I don't know how they're circumventing through that. How many wrestlers are at this taping per night, per day. We don't know. But either way, I'm going to get into my thought on this later again, but at this point, I'd rather just have them take a break. WrestleMania was already solid enough. They earned their break. It's like, why not just go ahead and put it, give them an off season, like until this whole thing boils over, you know. But we're gonna get into Money in the Bank, Double or Nothing, and a bunch of other speed round kind of news here in this episode of Dylan Lasagna Live today. I am your man, Dylan Lasagna, as you could see here on the screen. Make sure you go subscribe to me on YouTube for more live stream podcasts. On occasion, I like to do some reaction videos. I did a reaction video to Kenny Pass's GTA San Andreas comedy sketch on, on San Andreas and the COVID situation. But in all, Kenny Pass makes some really funny GTA San Andreas skits, so go check out that reaction video. And then I also do discussion videos and all that. So a lot of variety here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have the bell on so you'll be notified every time I'm live streaming. And go follow me on Twitter if you choose to do so. Make sure you follow me on Twitter because I like to shitpost on Twitter. Alright, let's get into the topics for today. First up, I want to talk about Money in the Bank because that's been a top of our discussion for the past couple of days because Money in the Bank is slated to happen on May 10th. WWE advertised it during WrestleMania, but it didn't say it was going to be in Baltimore. It just said it was going to be on May 10th. Let me check real quick if they're still advertising it on their website. Let me see here. Shows. Let's see. Money in the Bank. No, it doesn't look like Money in the Bank is on here quite yet. So no Money in the Bank yet. So, okay. So, like on the list of shows, here, let me switch out to my other layout here. When you see the list of shows, it's like it's only WrestleMania, and then whenever I click on Money in the Bank, which is supposed to be on May 10th, it shows last year's Money in the Bank, which, okay, seems reasonable enough. All right. So that begs the question, what's going on with the pay-per-view? Well, interesting that you might ask, because the arena that was supposed to have Money in the Bank in Baltimore, which is the Royal Farms Arena, it announced yesterday on Twitter that Money in the Bank has been canceled. Just because they canceled it at the arena, that doesn't mean that WWE's not going to do it at all just yet. Because, hey, they've done crazier things. To keep that going. But anyway, some quick notes here. Because the state of Maryland, like here in California and like in Florida and pretty much half of the United States, they've been under a stay-at-home order since the end of March due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we don't know when it'll subside. Now, I mentioned before that WWE is taping shows. I mentioned like much earlier on that they were taping shows in Orlando. They started earlier today. However, again, Florida is under that stay-at-home order, so we don't know when it's going to end. So that's Money in the Bank. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know like if it's going to happen May 10th or maybe it's going to be postponed. But again, I stayed either way. I think it needs to have an off season. We need to have an off season at this point. Now, I put Double or Nothing on here. I put a big X in the thumbnail because I think it may be Act 2. I may think that Double or Nothing, like, it might get postponed. I think it's officially going to get canceled by MGM. That's because here, throughout this week, on Wednesday, that a Twitter user by the name of Las Vegas Locally, they reported on Twitter that all MGM Resorts shows and attractions have been canceled through May 31st. People were kind of curious. They were kind of curious as to where they get this source from. There's still Double or Nothing listed there. There's still the esports listings on there. So not a lot of legitimacy on this source. Not until today, at least. So there was an article that from the Las Vegas Review-Journal by, I'm going to butcher this name probably, John Katsilometes. Katsilometes. I don't know. He mentions that the MGM Resorts notified entertainment partners to prepare for a June 1st return date. So that kind of lines up with the tweet from Las Vegas Locally that all events are going to be canceled at MGM Resorts through that date. Now, keep in mind that because the situation around the world keeps changing, that date may get pushed up or may get pushed back. Now, I keep mentioning Double or Nothing because this is going to most likely get impacted. I think that the listing is going to get taken down. Let me go to their website here. MGM Grand. Here we go. Let's go to their website. So they still have Double or Nothing listed here, as well as Dynamite on the official MGM Resorts website. But because in that article by Las Vegas the Las Vegas Review-Journal, I really think that MGM Grand is going to postpone Double or Nothing, or they're going to at least remove the listing for Double or Nothing because they've already done so with most of its shows on the Strip, on MGM Grand. They even slowed down the construction at the new Raider Stadium, and it's an inevitability that AEW's events could be either postponed, outright canceled, or it'll just be moved to the secret location that AEW has been filming at for the past couple of weeks. So it's on AEW now to make an official announcement on what they're going to do with Double or Nothing and that Dynamite taping that was supposed to be in Vegas, but at this rate, I don't think it's going to happen because they did it. Like, MGM notified these entertainment partners for a June 1st return date. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. In my opinion, it's most likely looking that Double or Nothing is not happening in Vegas. That's just my opinion. Now let's get on with those were the main things I wanted to cover today. Let's move on to some Wednesday Night Wars. Now, I've been pretty like adamant that I appreciate both NXT and Dynamite. But you know how the internet wrestling community is. They just want to hold on, I keep pressing stuff here. They just want to say NXT is better, AEW is better, WWE is better, AEW is better. That's the internet wrestling community for you. But I'm a middleman. I like both. It's like that's my mentality. So since I've been in quarantine for the past couple weeks, I've honestly got around to watching NXT and Dynamite this week for the first time in like a couple weeks. So we have on Dynamite, we got the first round of the TNT Championships, which is an odd mid-card title name, but you got to get that product placement in, right? I didn't get a chance to check on that because I knew Cody was going to win anyway. But we also had a really good match between Britt Baker and I don't want to butcher the name here. Hikaru Shida. Yeah, there we go. And then we really got a good visual of Britt Baker's nose getting broken. So that was pretty cool. And then there are a couple of other matches there that I just didn't really care for on Dynamite. But then we go to NXT. We got the ladder match to determine the number one contender for Charlotte's NXT Women's Championship between Candice LeRae, Chelsea Green, Mia Yim, Dakota Kai, Tegan Nox, and Io Shirai. Really good match there. Io Shirai won that match. And then we got that cinematic match, that one final beat between Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. I don't know. I really wasn't feeling this match either. Maybe because I don't really... Maybe it's just because I don't watch NXT like die hard as most people do. But it's just like it felt too like similar from the Last Man Standing match with Edge versus Orton. I know I'm gonna piss a lot of people off, except with commercial breaks. It felt like that. Yeah, like there's a lot of emotion to it because Tommaso and Gargano have been feuding for like how many years now? Like 2-3 years now. I'm probably, again, I don't watch NXT like hardcore, like the hardcore fans do. So they have this cinematic fight. Candice LeRae comes in at the end. That's the thing that intrigued me the most. Candice LeRae comes in at the end. She stops the fight midway, near the end, because she's tired of fighting. She's tired of Ciampa ruining her marriage, and she's tired of Gargano ruining his friendship with Ciampa. So she kicks Gargano in the nuts, and then Tommaso realizes the situation, and he goes over to apologize. But it was all a setup because Candice LeRae dick kicked him as well, and it was revealed that the brown bag that Candice gave him earlier, like much earlier on before the match, was a cup. You know, one of those cups that football players wear to protect their nut sacks. She gave him a cup to protect, because it was all a setup, and then Gargano hit his finisher to win the final beat. But in case you missed it, like near the end of the show, as they were walking to their car, as Gargano and LeRae were walking to their car, you could see, if you missed it, it looked like Killer Cross and Scarlet Bordeaux. I can't. I'm bad with names sometimes, but forgive me. But it looks like they're setting up for the next rivalry for Gargano and LeRae. So that's how NXT ends. And some people were saying if NXT doesn't win in the ratings war this week, it's over for them. Dynamite's gonna win all the Wednesday Night Wars. It's been one-sided, and Brian Alvarez from Figure 4 Online dished out the viewership and ratings that NXT finally beat Dynamite by just 1,000 viewers. So it's a virtual tie anyway, by 693,000 viewers, while Dynamite drew 692,000. So pretty much this doesn't mean anything to me other than, I guess, Dynamite will never hit the 1 million mark until people stop watching the news on a consistent basis. So there, NXT gets his W for 1 week. But either way, NXT was a pretty decent show, but it was highlighted by 2 matches pretty much, the ladder match and this match, which again, that didn't even sell me until the end. But yeah, that's the Wednesday Night Wars. Pretty much, that was pretty much the Wednesday Night Wars this week. Again, I can't provide too much analysis on it, but you know, I want to give my 2 cents on it because it's just a smart war. All right, let's talk a little bit about some other like smaller news that's making the rounds this week. There were some interesting reports going around that Rhea Ripley had to go back to Australia and she was stuck there. There's some conflicting reports there. So it was first reported by Mike Johnson of Pro Wrestling Insider on Tuesday that the former NXT Women's Champion returned to Australia Monday because her work visa expired and had to renew it. However, because of the travel ban implemented by the Trump administration here in the US, it was also reported that she would likely miss the next set of NXT tapings, which are most likely happening throughout the week, the next couple of weeks. However, I do want to show you guys this video right here, because this pretty much debunks that report. Let me pull it up. There's no audio, by the way. Like, from this IG story. So pretty much in that video, Rhea Ripley pretty much turns down, debunks all the rumors. She's in her Orlando apartment with her boyfriend. Yeah, she's still in America. So don't always believe in what you see. But there is something that I can believe out of all of this, and that is one report from Dave Meltzer that Flair would start appearing on both NXT and Raw, but NXT was highlighted because Flair in NXT is to help NXT in the ratings war against AEW Dynamite. So now that Ripley is still in the US, which pretty much throws out the conspiracy theory of that her work visa has expired, it all the more makes sense that Charlotte's win at WrestleMania is complete bullshit. That's just my opinion. It's like, as I stated on my WrestleMania recap edition of Dylan Lasagna Live, in case you missed that, go check it out on demand right now. If WWE really thinks they're going to win the ratings war against AEW Dynamite with Charlotte Flair, if they thought they were going to win it when they first had Charlotte on NXT against Bianca Belair, I don't think so. I don't think so. That women's division, like, yeah, there'll be some nice matchups against Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox, Candice LeRae, Mia Yim, and there's a bunch of other really talented women on that NXT division. But in the end, like, Charlotte Flair is gonna crumble them all and crush them into tiny bite-sized pieces. And it's, I think that Flair even just winning the NXT championship again hurts the division because of WWE's tendency to stat pad Charlotte and make, I don't know. I feel like when Charlotte's on interviews, like, let's say she was on Get Up with Mike Greenberg, she sounded like herself. She didn't sound too scripted and all that. But when she's like doing a scripted promo, and you can really tell that she sounds like a robot. Yeah, you can. But I want to go back to Ripley for a second. Again, it's like she herself deconfirmed all the reports that were going around that she had to go back to Australia, which is good that she's still in the U.S. But with her direction, I'm really concerned with right now. I am really concerned. On one hand, there's the theory going around that she can go to the main roster, she can go to Raw, she can go to SmackDown, but I don't think those are the best options right now. If she goes to Raw, she has to compete with Shayna Baszler, I think, who's still likely to get another crack at Becky Lynch. She still has to go through Bianca Belair, who's right now handling business with Selena Vega, but once she's done with that, she would want to crack at Becky Lynch. And I guess to a degree, Nia Jax just came back, but yeah, I guess she has her issues with Becky Lynch as well. And then you look at SmackDown. That division is particularly weak as well, but at the same time, they are slow burning their way to a top tier feud between Sasha Banks and Bayley, the two role models of that division. So I wouldn't cause a disruption within the SmackDown division either. I think the best thing to do is keep Rhea Ripley in NXT. She still has many years left in her career. Yeah, she lost, which I think hurt. Definitely sucks. But I still think that she didn't need to lose at WrestleMania. Beating Charlotte would have definitely helped her stock. But at this point, now that she lost, it happened. We can't do shit. She needs to be put like in a redemption angle. Keep her off TV for maybe another week or two. Have her build her way back up to Charlotte. Don't give her a title shot right away because that won't help things. I mean, make her go to the back of the line. Make her redeem herself. Let her have a run. Slow burn her way back up to Charlotte and that take over Boston. Yeah, it won't be at SummerSlam, but it'll be at Takeover Boston. Yeah, it's gonna be on Ripley's terms this time. She could take the title back. So, yeah, a lot of things happening with this report, but at least Rhea Ripley is back in the United States. But now she needs to go get that title from Charlotte because Charlotte is not going to help the ratings for NXT. She's just not. Now, there was some talk about Goldberg over this week as well because of what he did at Super Showdown. We all know how that went. He beat The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, for the Universal Championship. He went into WrestleMania as Universal Champion. He was supposed to face Roman Reigns, but then he lost to Braun Strowman. Now, there's a new report going around on why that may be the case, on why he beat Bray Wyatt. According to WrestleZone, a source told a source told them that Bray Wyatt was originally supposed to retain, but at the last minute, Goldberg stepped in and used and pushed for creative control to win the title. This is from WrestleZone themselves, and I quote, WrestleZone was told that Goldberg going over was a last-minute decision, apparently because Goldberg didn't want to risk damaging his image. It was noted that Goldberg bargained for creative control and pushed for the title because The Fiend was a monster, and the younger fans needed to see him coming out victorious or would ruin his character. I find that very, very hard to believe, but we'll get into that just a bit. Just a bit, because there's still a little bit more to dissect here. Regarding Goldberg's final appearance and match under his current deal was for WrestleMania. He had no intention to add more dates to his deal. That was added by Wrestle Talk, but Wrestling Observer's Dan Meltzer reported both of these stories as false. So we don't know which is true, which is false. But I do want to say this. If I could see Wrestle Talk's report being false because, Goldberg, if the money is right, he would want to wrestle even more. But I can see WrestleZone's report of Goldberg abusing creative control or going up and beyond for as much creative control as possible to win the Universal title. Why would he think that losing would risk damage to his image? This is not the 1990s, Bill. It also said here, it's like the younger fans needed to see him come out. I have never heard a fan like in under 13 years old that was a fan of Goldberg. Like, have you guys heard a fan of Goldberg? Like a fan of Goldberg that was under 13 years old? I've never seen one. It's like the dude's over 50. He really thinks at his age that people want to see him win a title, a world title, might I add you, over the ever popular big bad fiend Bray Wyatt. I'm not making this up. Do you see The Undertaker stepping boundaries to put himself over? No. Unless WWE Creative forces the issue, then that's a different story. But Goldberg stepping in and saying, no, I want to win against the Fiend. I want to be a role model for the kids. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. I don't know, man. If this again, take those stories with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, it's a new generation. Goldberg was past his prime. And even then, he was a one-trick pony. Spear, jackhammer. He didn't do much in WCW anyway. Next, this was breaking news when I woke up this morning. And I really don't have too much to say other than what I'm about to read you. So this was from WWE, and I quote, effective today, Friday, April 10th, 2020, WWE and The Revival have agreed on their immediate release from WWE. We wish them all the best in their future endeavors. So, they're getting a future endeavor at least. They're not like a, I can't remember. Who didn't get, Enzo, Pac, Rich Swann. Oh, well, those guys got arrested. Those two, except for Pac, Enzo and Rich Swann didn't get future endeavored. Oh, and Big Cass didn't get future endeavored. So they didn't get the special greeting of "We wish them the best, all the best in their future endeavors." I really don't have too much to say about the Revival game released by the WWE, but I do know there were reports that they were really unhappy with their position in WWE and really the way they were treated. But um, it's like they were also offered new contracts by WWE, but like with what John Moxley a year ago, they kept rejecting it, and they just really wanted to start fresh somewhere else. Speaking of starting fresh somewhere else, it's like I already know where this is going. I already know where this is gonna lead to. The Revival is gonna go to AEW because unlike wrestlers requesting their releases early, the Revival, according to Ryan Satin, they don't have a no compete clause. So they can sign with any company, they can appear anywhere, anytime, as long as they want. So straight away they could go to AEW, but dude, how can they? We're in a pandemic. How can they go to AEW right now? So here's how I see how things are gonna go. They're gonna go to AEW. They're gonna bitch about how WWE was a bad place, how they were unhappy there. Then they're gonna find a way to do that on Dynamite. Just look at Brody Lee, and they're gonna have spot fest after spot fest after spot fest. I mean, unless they have quality character trait in them, but they're gonna have like spot fest after spot fest with the Young Bucks and the rest of the tag team division. But you know, I whatever makes them happy. You know, I look forward to what's next for Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder. That's if they use their names, of course. But you know, considering that Sean Spears, Brody Lee, Jericho, Moxley are all in AEW. If you really appreciated both WWE and AEW, not one or the other, you should know what the Revival are about to do next. You should clearly know this. They're going to go to AEW and roast the shit out of their former employer while having spot fest after spot fest with the Young Bucks. It's like, let's get real, people. Let's be realistic here. Let's see here. We have two more news stories before we wrap up today's show. We have the XFL. This was kind of a surprise here, but at the same time, we're in the global pandemic, which is pretty unfortunate. The XFL has unfortunately suspended operations. Now, suspended operations is different from going out of business. So this is really unfortunate for like Vince McMahon's like new XFL. So according to ESPN's NFL insiders, Field Yates and ESPN national NFL writer Kevin Seifert, Vince McMahon's XFL has suspended operations, which has laid off nearly all of its staff, and there are no plans to return in 2021. Yikes. I'll get into my thoughts on this. Like as soon as we're like done dissecting this. The reincarnation of Vince's football aspirations was canceled after 5 games due to the coronavirus pandemic. So, literally just a month ago. Like with all the sports organizations except for WWE and the UFC, which by the way, side note about the UFC has just postponed all future events. So now WWE and AEW, the ball is in your court, as well as Impact Wrestling. Like, the ball is in your court on whether or not you're gonna have an off season for the safety of your wrestlers. So after initially return next year, XFL CEO Jeffrey Pollock informed employees last Friday that it would suspend operations, which effectively laid them off. A former XFL staff member who spoke with these insiders, he was on the conference call, and Pollock was unsure if the league was going out of business. But according to the staff member that was in the conference call, he had a strong implication that the XFL is not going to come back, which is really, really, really disappointing. Kevin Seifert added this on Twitter. When asked if the XFL would return for a second season, my answer was the same, and I quote: "With Vince as its owner, it had the money to do so. Whether McMahon would choose to use that money, I always said was another question. Global pandemics have a way of changing things." So this was, from what I know, this was the first business. This was the first sporting league to effectively shut down, like literally shut down, like because of the coronavirus. And this really sucks, this incarnation of the XFL was leagues better than the original XFL. the original XFL looked nothing like actual football. It was nice to have JR and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary, but it just felt like watching Raw, except it's football. And then the jersey names, I did like He Hate Me. The custom jersey names, yeah, that wasn't really a helpful thing too. But we get to the 2020 version of the XFL, and there were a lot of innovative things that made the XFL a really compelling game to watch, a couple here and there. Like, for example, they introduced like this kickoff formation where nobody can move. Like, literally both the kicking team and the receiving team can't move until the kicker kicks it off and the receiver catches it, and then he starts running, and then once the receiver starts running, everyone can start moving too. So I really like that idea because it would reduce the risk of injury. Then there were also the typical like extra points getting canned in favor of running plays based on where you're gonna play them from the goal line. So instead of extra points, like extra point kicks, you would get plays like 2-yard attempts, replacing the field goal kick. So what I'm saying is, you replace the extra point kick with a scrimmage play, whether that's a run play or a passing play. A lot of teams elected to go for the 2-yard play anyway. But there are on occasions where you can go for a 5-yard play, which would net the 2-point conversion. And then there was a 10-yard play, which was a high gamble, but it netted you 3 points if you were able to successfully get it. You also got to hear the plays being called. You also got to hear a lot of players mic'd up, when you compare that to the NFL. But at the same time, I also found that to be I honestly don't know how much of a good thing every team being mic'd up was, literally hearing every play, because as a team, anticipating your next opponent, it's like that opposing team has film study material. If you're all mic'd up and your coach is also mic'd up and they can hear the plays, I know it's a lot of football terminology, they know what play is coming next. So it's kind of sketchy, but it was a good concept. And then I want to show you guys something here. I accidentally pressed Streamlabs. No, close. Hold on. I want to show you guys something. This XFL replay review. Ah, here it is. Yeah. All right. So let me go here. The XFL literally did replay reviews using an Xbox controller. You can't make this shit up. This is pretty cool here. It's like playing a fucking video game. So that was really really cool. A lot. Yeah, this version of the XFL was really innovative. It's like there's a lot of things that the NFL is likely going to borrow from the XFL. Now, granted, the play wasn't that great. There were like a lot of blowouts after week one. But it's like before the league folded, there were some close games. But I just feel really bad. I feel really bad for the players, the employees, and especially for the teams especially for the cities that didn't have a football team for the longest time. Like St. Louis, they lost the Rams in 2016, and for the first time in a long time, they got a chance to feel, like they got a chance to see what football was like again, and now to have that possibly stripped away from them, in the event that the XFL permanently shuts down again. Oh man, that's a big time like stab in the wound for St. Louis football fans. It's like I don't know. It's like I have a very glim faith of hope that this version of the XFL doesn't like close its doors. Like it said suspended operations, which to me it doesn't mean like they're completely closed, like they're completely going out of business. But I don't know. I really just hope it doesn't like shut down. But you never know. It's like Vince always changes his mind, but we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. All right, we have one last news story here, and this is about Ronda Rousey. She had some interesting comments about not wanting to return to WWE full time, and this was coming from Ryan Satin on Pro Wrestling Sheet. According to that, courtesy of Pro Wrestling Sheet, the baddest woman on the planet recently appeared on Steve-O's podcast to talk about a return to WWE. And this is what she had to say. Now, there was a specific quote that people are taking, like, because that was the biggest takeaway for people. But you know what? I want to read the whole thing here because this is what I want to take away from it. Ronda Rousey talked about working for WWE and the type of schedule she had on the road from Steve-O's podcast, and this is what Rousey had to say, and I quote, "I love the WWE. I had such a great time. I love all the girls in the locker room. Running out there and having fake fights for fun is just the best thing. I love choreography. I love acting. I love theater, live theater, and some of the last forms of live theater." So pretty much she's breaking kayfabe big time by saying this. She's exposing the wrestling business. But, that was exposed for a long time anyway. But I was basically doing part-time, and I was away from home 200 days out of the year. Wait. Was she really at live shows? I don't recall. And when I did get home, I was so sleep deprived because you just don't have time to lay down. And then it says here that Rousey goes on to say she learned she had a broken vertebrae in her lower back prior to signing to WWE during her medical exams. So when she was home, she had to be laying down with a heat pad on her and a Tempur-Pedic pillow under her neck during the whole time. Interesting factoid. If I did all the live shows, I was only home a day and half a week. Okay, so she pretty much said she's doing this part time. Um, it was just not worth it for my family because we were eliminating all of our expenses and living this lifestyle. We didn't need it. Um, Wait, your immediate family or the family you were trying to start? That's what I don't get. We didn't need the money. Okay. Um, so this is the quote. These were the quotes that had. These following quotes are the things that really had people talking. So we're gonna get into that right now. So it's just like, what am I doing for it? What am I doing it for if I'm not able to be in? Yeah. So it's just like, what am I doing it for if I'm not being able to spend my time and energy on my family, but instead spending my time and energy on a bunch of fucking ungrateful fans that don't even appreciate me. I love performing. I love the girls. I love being out there. But at the end of the day, I was just like, fuck these fans, dude. My family loves me and they appreciate me, and I want all my energy to go into them. So that was my decision at the end of the day. It's like, hey girls, love what you're doing. I'm gonna try and take all my momentum and push you guys as far as I can. Fly, little birds, fly. I'm going fucking home, and that was basically it. Um, so pretty much, don't take it as she took her ball and went home. Um, I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about this. I'm, but I'm gonna try to dissect it, and I'm gonna try to play middleman here because there were a lot of interesting things in what she said. I will say though that her comments is gonna divide a lot of people. Um, some will say, "Why did she come here in the first place?" Or it's like, "Wow, Becky Lynch really broke her." Um, but in my mind, I think it's the fact that WWE perhaps botched the way they booked Ronda Rousey, the first place. Because when she was a face, they booked her as a badass in the ring, but when she was like cutting promos or walking to the ring, she was always like bubbly and all that stuff. But when she turned heel, like on like a month before WrestleMania 35, it was the same thing in the ring, but only now she was more aggressive outside of it. But that's how she should have been in the first place, and it was too late when they eventually turned her heel. Um, and it's like, not only that, it's like what we're seeing now with Becky Lynch. It's like there was no competition for Ronda Rousey in the Raw Women's division. Uh, no, there was just Rousey, Lynch, Charlotte. There was just those three, and then you have the cherry on the bottom with Nia Jax and Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, and then you had a cameo from Nikki Bella. So pretty much not a lot of people too. um, not a lot of people that helped the Raw Women's division. But then my biggest takeaway from all this was I think people were just finding a reason to turn on Ronda Rousey, and that biggest reason was Becky Lynch. Like the people's love for Becky Lynch, like in 2000, like when she became the man, gave people a reason to hate Ronda Rousey so much. Like they started coming up with reasons like, "Oh, you're so entitled. You came into WWE and already won the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam against Alexa Bliss." And it's like you need. It's like you only had one match in WWE and you're getting a Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank. It's like excuses. Like she had a really good debut match at WrestleMania 34. She had a good match against Nia Jax, even though Nia Jax is not that great in the ring. But Ronda Rousey carried that match. She carried Nia Jax to have a really good match before Alexa Bliss ruined everything. Like storyline wise, of course. at Money in the Bank, and then a couple months later, Ronda Rousey beat the absolute living shit out of Alexa Bliss, which was the result that should have happened, like that needed to happen anyway. And then, yeah, it's like now people want to crap on Ronda Rousey. It's like, oh my god, oh my god. And then now they have an even bigger excuse. There's Becky Lynch. It's like, oh, Becky Lynch is better than Ronda Rousey. She built her way up for this moment, and then even though Becky Lynch was out at Survivor Series 2018, they cheered for Charlotte Flair, the robotic Charlotte Flair. Oh man, you look. It's like I understand that fans were enamored for Becky, but for some reason they turned on Ronda Rousey, and this was even in Ronda Rousey's like hometown, L.A. No, this Ronda Rousey. Hold on, let me fact check that real quick. Oh, she's from Riverside, so she's from Southern California. So yeah, people in LA turned on Ronda Rousey, and not for a lot of bad reasons, you know. So you can't really blame Ronda Rousey for not wanting to come back to WWE on a full time basis because of the schedule, because of Becky Lynch, like Becky Lynch's popularity. You could also make the argument that Ronda Rousey was jealous of Becky Lynch, which could also be the case that she was jealous of Holly Holm beating her ass twice. But it's like, if you want to have a real compelling reason, start with the bad state of the Raw Women's division. Start with like creative booking her like a vanilla babyface in the first place. It's like, it's just like, give more compelling reasons that Ronda Rousey didn't do as great as you people thought they would. Like, what? Give compelling reasons why Ronda Rousey, like you fans turned on Ronda Rousey. And it's like, I think Ronda Rousey had a successful year in WWE, and if she doesn't want to return to WWE, that's okay. At least we can look back in that she had a successful year for a former UFC wrestler, UFC fighter. But yeah, I can pretty much be whatever with Ronda Rousey. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode of Dylan Lasagna Live. Pretty much a lot of stories to share. Pretty much a lot of stories to share on this episode today. Not a lot of like usual like matches going on right now that WrestleMania is out the window, especially with the pandemic going on. It's just like a lot of crazy things like are happening around the world. Speaking of crazy things, let me check Twitter. Why is Shinsuke Nakamura trending? Shinsuke Nakamura is trying to challenge Braun Strowman. Okay, it's like Shinsuke Nakamura is trying to challenge Braun Strowman for the Universal title. Okay. Okay. Is there anything else happening on SmackDown? Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross retained the Women's Tag Team Championships. Okay. Okay, that was pretty much it for now. But yeah, I do want to end this real quick about a situation going on and that needs to be addressed. There's actually and podcasts going on discussing this better than I can ever discuss talk about it. There's some, I want to shed some light on a situation that needs to be talked about more, not just in a certain community, but everywhere. I want to give, like, I'm probably gonna botch it. But if you want better explanations about what I'm about to talk about, go search up the following people: Tipster, Bull Blacks, John Swan. Actually, John Swan made a really great mini documentary on what I'm about to talk about. Augie RFC, he's actually doing his podcast right now on YouTube. So if you want to go check that out, check out his channel because he's doing a podcast on it right now. And there's a bunch of other people talking about this situation that I'm about to talk about. And I'm probably going to get blocked and reported too for talking about it. But I'm going to try to keep it brief, keep it simple, because, again, I'm not directly involved in this. But let's talk about it. Let's talk a little bit about it. There's a YouTuber going around by the name of... I'm getting a little tense talking about it, but I'm going to try it. There's a YouTuber going around by the name of Susie Lou. She's a reaction and gaming YouTuber with 375,000 subscribers. She originally had 377, but she lost 2 subscribers. There's been a lot of talk about her within, like, the commentary community as well as around YouTube, about how she does a lot of controversial things, especially flagging, striking channels for what is essentially criticism videos of her controversial actions. And I've been, like, keeping on check with what other channels have been doing, what they've been reporting on this person, and this has been some interesting stuff. So it's pretty much all started back in March last year, when she took down a video by Mark After Dark, when Mark used her video from her Last Guardian VR video to use it like as his intro for the Last Guardian VR. Let me see if I can pull that up here. It was in John Swan's doc. Again, I'm not gonna explain this well, but I'm doing my best. Oh, here. Okay, let me pull it up here. All right, let's pull it up here.
About the Last Guardian VR, folks, this was the clip that offended.
I mean, that's the end of it. No! I want to spend the rest of my life like that. It feels so real.
So, yeah, it was pretty much like Mark using like 30 seconds of her Last Guardian VR gameplay, and yeah, and she didn't like that. It was like if you guys watch that full clip, it was very transformative. Falls under fair use, but she didn't like it. Took it down. Gave him a copyright strike, and this is where the whole controversy began. And then this would fall with like weeks of YouTubers trying to get the strike, help Mark's case of getting the strike retracted, only met with Susie claiming copyright to her face. And now, I will say this about that claim. It's like, if you claim the copyright to your face, it's like, that's pretty sketchy. That's pretty, you can't really do that. You can't really claim the copyright to your face. But I'm not gonna go into that specifics. So she shows her flag history on Augie's show after hours of walking the dog. I remember that stream. And then reveals her flag history. This not only shows that she reports videos that she simply doesn't like, but she also shows that she flags criticism videos. So pretty much videos that she really doesn't like. So months pass. She moves on from gaming to reaction videos. Like nothing else to report on here from these commentary YouTubers, and I actually like fall off this story a bit, and it's like I completely forget about it. I'll admit I actually jumped onto Augie's show and gave my thoughts on it on a really bad manner, really botched it. But anyway, yeah, she moves on to reaction videos, something I used to do here on my channel. Don't do it as much anymore, other than Nintendo Directs and the WrestleMania watch-alongs. But it's like, yeah, again, I don't notice it too much because it's not in my recommended. I don't I never paid attention to the story until like the end of the year. I see these videos of this YouTuber Susie watching full-length anime, uncut, no commentary, on like no pauses, something that is a clear violation of copyright. Now, given that doing a Nintendo Direct or a WrestleMania watch along may be violation too, but I digress. I might need more clarification on that as well. But she was reacting to anime episodes uncut with no insightful commentary or not pausing. Actually, she was only started doing the pauses like just recently. And I see these videos. I also see the videos like of the commentary community reacting to the situation, which hadn't blown up as big as it is now. But I think to myself, even Charmix doesn't stoop to this level. So, like in December, she somehow gets featured into YouTube Rewind. Before her channel gets terminated by TV Tokyo for which they claim it was a bug in the YouTube system. Wrong. It's clear that you reacted to uncut anime, full screen. She later made it grayed out, so like she wouldn't get struck again. And then their channel gets restored a day or two later. So something odd is going on with her channel, like when TV Tokyo manually took down the channel, but YouTube restored it. So something is clearly going on here. But then again, as the weeks pass by, she's still doing the anime reactions, and now she's making it a lot worse. She uploads her reactions, re-uploads her previous reactions that were taken down to a second channel. And not only that, as the weeks pass by throughout this year, she makes a website. She makes a website for reactions, uncut anime reactions. You can't make this stuff up. Again, I'm trying the best way I can to explain this, but John Swan does it so much better than I do right now. And I'm thinking to myself, I see this website through videos and all that stuff, and then like she also did this through Patreon. Like she uploaded the reactions through Patreon, which has these violations for copyright. You can't upload like direct feeds of TV shows on sites like Vimeo, YouTube, or Twitch, or Patreon, or what was the other site? I can't remember that other video sharing site. Crap. But you get the point. It's like I'm already thinking to myself, is she trying to get herself sued? Is she trying to get herself sued by like these companies, like these anime like show companies that she's reacting to. So a couple weeks pass by, a couple months pass by, nothing else happens. But then we get to a few weeks like just a few weeks ago. Tipster, he's a news channel here on YouTube. He also does stuff on Twitch. He reports on like this situation that's going on with Suzy Liu, and he makes like 3 videos for it. Like one was about the website, one was about Suzy's termination, the third was about the start of the anime reactions, and he gets flagged for it. He gets 3 community guideline strikes for cyberbullying and harassment. Now, because if I recall, it's like those are 3 straight strikes. Now, before, if you got 3 straight strikes, you immediately get terminated. Like that means you're terminated. You're off YouTube. But those strikes were rejected, and only 1 went through. So that was good news. But it was a sign that Suzy really did not want Tipster on the platform anymore. Criticizing her. Like, she really did like what she deemed as hateful, when in reality Tipster was just like trying to call out her mistakes, when the mistakes that Suzy did not want to correct. Now we get to the point where John Swan uploads this great documentary on Suzy Liu. Really well done. Let me show you guys the like where it is. Oh, it's re-uploaded. Okay. So here's the re-upload version, but it's like heavily censored, and there's a few things that had to be added or removed because like it was originally taken down because of a community guidelines warning on harassment and cyberbullying. And then the reason this video was originally created was because John Swan made a really funny video on analyzing Suzy's forehead, which by the way was transformative and fell under fair use because like there was a video here. Let me see if I can find it. Measuring let me see whose video was it? There's a bunch of people that did measuring my forehead. I can't remember whose video was it though, but John Swan mentions it though in the uncut version. He has the uncut version of this video in the description. So yeah, he makes that video. Like it was uploaded like a week ago, but it got taken down by YouTube. We're assuming it's most likely Suzy that took it, that went to her YouTube partner manager and took it down. And then before all that took place, Suzy went on this tirade saying that we need to take responsibility for all this hateful content that we're uploading, when in reality that we're just calling her out for the mistakes that she's still not willing to admit. She falsely copy struck Mark After Dark. She's now reacting to anime content that's uncut, only blurred out. She's not adding insightful commentary. Now, given a lot of reaction channels do that too, and that's why I barely do them anymore. This is why I only do reactions to Nintendo Directs, WrestleMania, and the occasional meme or two. But the point is, it's like, this is uncut anime we're talking about, like TV shows. Now again, given like WrestleMania watch along is considered an event, but you don't see like me putting the actual event because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble with the copyright owner. But we also have we also have Susie Snooze like doing anime reactions, like putting it behind a paywall too on her website and blocking it from Japan, so like she can't get sued, so they can't find it. And I'm just thinking to myself, she can't handle criticism, and she's mixing up criticism between hate. Now, why am I mentioning all of this, and why am I botching all this? Why am I botching explaining all of this? Well, again, if you want a better explanation, again, go search up John Swan's video, go search up Tipster's videos, go search up Augie's videos. Like, they have a much better explanation. A lot of people will have better explanations than I do. But going back to how this personally affects me, you guys know I do reaction stuff here on YouTube. I used to, actually. I try to stray away from it, but if it's something I really like a Nintendo Direct, WrestleMania, like WWE stuff, like WrestleMania, or let's say the occasional meme, like a YTP, or like something like GTA San Andreas, like from Kenny Poss. It's like, out in the nose, I usually try to stray away from those now because, in all honesty, I try to avoid getting sued, I really do. Not only that, I had to learn from this somewhat similar, same mistake too. Because when the whole Charmix situation, if you guys don't recall, people were calling me out for copying Charmix and all that in January, 2 years ago, in January 2018. They're saying I copied the layout. It was mostly about the layout and stuff, but I mistaken, like, when I did that addressing the controversy video a month later, I mistaken criticism for hate comments. That was my biggest mistake there. Now granted, some of them were, most of it was valid criticism, but others was just outright hatred. But anyway, I digress. A lot of it was valid criticism, but at the same time, I was just, I don't know, I kind of fell out of the reaction game because it was just like, it felt lazy. It felt like I really felt demotivated to do actual content, So, yeah, in that video, like, I did addressing, like, the controversy, I mentioned, like, how Charmix uses blasphemous reaction style, like pausing, giving commentary, etc., etc. Vine Bros claiming the term react and all that stuff. Don't worry, there's a point in what I'm trying to say here. And others having the same layout as others, except I don't really see now that Charmix uses, like, the full face cam here, and then video, and then black here. That's why I changed up my reaction style, my reaction layout. Now, I especially learned that just because someone else is doing a thing doesn't mean I can do it too. And that's what Susie needs to realize here. Just because other people are watching anime, especially because she called out PewDiePie for it. She called out PewDiePie for watching anime. Doesn't mean she can do it too. And she's not even doing it right. What PewDiePie is doing is he's doing what all of us reactors should be doing. Watching the anime and then cutting and then doing long minutes of analysis, like commenting, and then boom, back to the anime, commenting again, He's like, and I think which video was it? PewDiePie. Oh, here. He reacted to a Yu-Gi-Oh anime, and he cut out literally half of the episode, and half of the video was him giving actual commentary. So that's fair use right there. He gave actual commentary. So if you want to go check that out, go search up PewDiePie's latest video. So what am I trying to trace back here? Other than the fact that I fell out of the commentary game. Not the commentary game, the reaction video game. It's like, not only does this serve as a reminder why I don't like doing reactions as much anymore, why it reminds me of the Charmic situation, but it's just like, something needs to be done. Something needs to be done about this situation. I don't know what it is. I hope that at this point, I don't know what can be done, but something does need to be done. The thing is here is that he's like, again, time and time again, he's watching full-on anime, with barely any cuts. She's taking the Charmix and Blasphemous HD route just now by pausing, giving commentary. And what's the commentary? She doesn't really say like anything like insightful. She's just like, the commentary is just her reacting to what just happened, which is pretty much what Charmix and Blasphemous HD do. But it's like they give like actual insightful commentary as well when they have like a sidetracked thought or like something insightful to say. But it's just like, Susie, not so much. And then pretty much she puts all her uncut reactions behind a paywall. Patreon, her website. And then at the same time, it's like whenever someone's critical of her or I'm sorry, hating on her, I use hate in air quotes because we're actually criticizing her for like things that she shouldn't be doing, and we're trying to correct her. She goes straight to her YouTube partner manager, and somehow, some way, that YouTube partner manager is not doing their job correctly and taking down the videos, when in reality those videos have a right to stay there because it's a matter of free speech, and it gives insightful, like, rightful criticism. But I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it at this point, but I don't know. I can't really just it's like I'm too lost for words at this situation, because it's just like, all I could say is if this Susie Liu person is not going to admit to her mistakes, which at this point she's not, she's going to keep like flagging reporting people until she completely obliterates the platform to make it a happy and positive place. Then I don't know. I do think it's an inevitability that what she's doing with what she's doing by putting anime reactions behind a paywall and reacting to them on YouTube, it's gonna catch up to her. Yeah, she took advantage of the fact that YouTube is understaffed right now, and the team YouTube like completely brushed off John Swan's appeal to retract the community guidelines warning and to put back up the original mini documentary. But that's besides the point. It's an inevitability that these anime companies who have these anime shows that Susie and her boyfriend are reacting to, it's an inevitability that they're gonna go after them with lawsuits ready in hand. Once this is all said and done with, then they may even go after YouTube for not doing their jobs correctly, because someone in YouTube, whoever Susie's partner manager is getting the, But that's my piece on it. That's my opinion. Again, I tried explaining this to the best of my ability. But clearly, there are better people out there that are explaining this a lot better than I am. Again, I want to give those shout outs to all the RFC, Tipster, Bo Blacks, what was the other? Especially John Swan, who did the mini doc on Susie on their copyright abuse, and exploiting the copyright system here on YouTube. And there are a bunch of other people that have better insight on this than I do. But I said my piece on it. I know it wasn't very detailed or very informative as those people, but at the end of the day, something has to be done. Something needs to be done about this content creator, and at this point, I just think that lawsuits are inevitably gonna come out for her. But I really think if she continues to get away scot-free, then she's gonna make YouTube like freaking Disney. Like it's gonna be literally Disney, but with the big ass plus. Like, here's the Disney, here's the Mickey Mouse ears, and then here's a large plus sign, and along with it is the YouTube play button. So there's literally gonna be no free speech if they continue letting her off the hook. But go watch the mini doc. It's up on John Swan's channel. Again, it explains the situation a lot better than I do. But go check it out. And if you want to go read the articles that I mentioned, pretty much Ronda Rousey is not coming back full-time WWE anytime soon. Goldberg pushed his authority, his creative control, to win the Universal title. Money in the Bank is not happening in Baltimore. AEW is most likely not happening in Vegas. And Rhea Ripley is in the United States, people. She's in the United States. Don't believe in everything you see. And the Revival are officially gone from WWE, and the XFL has suspended its operation. So pretty much new show. It was pretty much a news show. Yes, it is. And that was DylanLasagna Live for this week. Pretty much, yeah. It was just a chill filler show, but it is what it is. Hopefully, there will be more interesting news, more interesting topics for next week, because we're going to be back to our normal, regularly scheduled day next week. Today was just the start of it, and hopefully there'll be at least some form of justice. Today was not the good start of it, because Team YouTube once again let this Susie Lou person off the hook, by not retracting John Swan's community guideline warning. I'm not putting the original mini doc back up, but at this point, for those involved in this situation, start contacting. I encourage to start contacting the companies. But anyway, I digress. I want to move on from talking about it, because again, I don't have a direct line or a direct relationship with it. But anyway, that's all for this episode of DylanLasagna Live. I hope you all enjoyed it. But if you did, make sure you give it a like. Make sure you, if you're not already, subscribe. Tap the bell so you're notified of every DylanLasagna Live episode. And if you like, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are always in the description. And let's take us home with some usual music. And I'm going to go listen to the After Hours by Augie RFC to see what's going on with the latest on the Susie Lou situation. And I encourage you all to listen to it too. Some very insightful stuff. But anyway, everyone, always be delicious. And I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone.